Morning, folks. I've just been listening to the Morning Lie show on Radio 4, where they make up news and propaganda. And I've been listening to a guy called Colin Tolbert, I think his name was. He's a professor. Professor of what? I don't know, because he seems to have no idea what money is, how it's created, or how it affects the nation's finances. He's blathering on about balancing budgets and clearing a deficit and the end of austerity. Has he got no idea what he's talking about? So much for a modern education, eh? Mind you, that's what he's there for. He'll just indoctrinate his students with a bunch of bollocks that he thinks is right, when he's either not gone into this stuff in depth in the first place, or he's got cognitive dissonance and just doesn't, just believes that lies are truth. If you're not sure how it works, since 2008, in 2008 we bailed the banks out, which is what we shouldn't have done. What Iceland did was they let the banks collapse and put all the bankers in jail, and that's exactly what we should have done, but we didn't. No, what we did is we gave all the politicians' mates, the people at the top of the banks, lots and lots of, well, we didn't give them anything, in fact. What we did is we said, okay, banks, you print as much money as you like, and we'll guarantee it with the sweat equity from the slaves. And so now the national fictitious Fiat debt has gone up it's doubled to well over £1 trillion. And what this professor didn't seem to grasp is that because it's compounded, that means we will never, ever, ever pay it back. So an end of austerity is impossible. Paying back the debt is impossible. So if you're working to continually pay back, and it's not just us, this has enslaved your children and your children's children and their children, because it can never be paid back, and it'll only ever get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the entire system is a lie. They never lent us, we never lent them anything. They printed their own money and gave us, they printed their own money and we gave them an IOU, basically. That's what austerity is all about. That's what fiat currency is all about. If you take it back to basics, you print $1, okay, and then, or £1, so you got £1 note, and you lend it to somebody with interest. So you want 10p interest. So in a year's time, you go to that person and say, right, I want £1.10 back. Well, okay, well, where does that 10p come from? So what that person does is they say, okay, there's your original £1 back. I'll give you a promissory note to cover the 10p, and I will do 10p's worth of work to cover that 10p. So then the banker has now got this promissory note for 10p, and because it's fractional reserve banking, as the regulations stand at the moment, you can lend out 9 times more than you've got in the vaults. So the banker can then go and print another £1 note. So there's only 10p to back. this extra pound note. And that's how it works. That's fractional reserve banking. So, you know, you can imagine how fast that debt rises. So we never lent them any money. They printed their own money, and we said, yeah, we'll pay for it, that's fine. You go and buy your super yachts and your you know, and your massive control mechanisms and the deep state and all that. You do all that. You know, HSBC has just been done again for money laundering for drug cartels. I mean, but see, they were originally set up, as far as I can ascertain it, allegedly, to deal with the money from the opium wars. So, you know, they're actually in the same business they've always been in, allegedly. And I'm sure the other banks are no different. You know, when BAE Systems needs to develop a new weapon system or something, I'm sure it goes to one of the big banks and gets the finance for doing it, and that's underwritten by an insurance company which is owned by one of the big banks. You know, it goes on and on and on. This is why there's so many vested interests. This is why you can't, well, you can fight the system, but the system eventually is going to come down under its own weight. You know, it's so complex. This is why there's no justice in the courts anymore, because none of the judges are trained properly, and the law is so complex now. They've desperately, over the last 40 years, they've tried to blur the edges between common law and statute law. The statute law is just business, it's just contracts, and common law is real law. You know, torts and things like that. Somebody hurts you, so you want recompense. Simple as that, really. So I can understand where this professor's coming from, because he's been misled as the rest of us. But to go on the radio and tell everybody that this is the truth and this is how it is, because I'm a professor and I know everything, is a load of bollocks. That's like, I remember there was a history program on, I think it was Coast actually, it might have been a history program, and Dr. Alice Roberts was on there. Now, I've got a lot of respect for the likes of David Starkey and that, as a historian, because they really do go into depth with stuff. But Dr. Alice Roberts was on a boat just off Salcombe, and they said, oh, we found this Phoenician sailing vessel from, they reckon it was about 2,000 years old, but they weren't really sure, of course. And she was trying to tell me on this telly program that oh, it's so unusual that you know, did it get lost in the channel, or what was it doing all the way up here and all that, you know, basically trying to say that 2,000 years ago we weren't trading with the Phoenicians and Tyrians, the Romans, and which anybody with a modicum of intellect who likes digging into history will know that we've been trading with the Middle East and the Far East and Europe for 4,000 years, and that 3,000 years ago Britain was a centre of learning. And let's face it, Joseph of Arimathea brought Jesus here. It's not a fable, it's a real thing. He owned mines here in Cornwall, and there's still Tyrian design, Middle Eastern design wells down here, holy wells. And what else? So it was a great centre of learning. You know, Britain means covenant land. You know, the ancient tribes of Judah, the 10 tribes of Judah came here. Not Judah, the tribes of Israel, the lost tribes of Israel came here. Not the Judeans. They're still in Israel. So I think I sort of lost my train a bit here. But yeah, so we're never going to pay the debt back. There's only 2 options. What they're doing is they're selling off all our assets to try and cover some interest. But this is what it was designed to do. It was designed to create so much interest that all our national assets would be transferred to a third party. You got the Queen yesterday, the richest woman in the world, gets an extra £60,000 a year as of yesterday. Or £60 million, sorry. I'm sure she'll be able to scrape by on that. Apparently that's to help pay for rewiring Buckingham Palace. Well, to be brutally honest, I'd let the fucking place burn down. No building's worth that. It's not even old. It's only built in the 19th century, the same as Palace of Westminster. I prefer to call it the Village of Westminster. But down here in the West Country, most villages have only got one idiot. There's 660 of them there. So the fact that people so high up in the education system have got absolutely no idea where money comes from or how it works is quite frankly shocking. Anyway, you can see this beautiful Cornish morning again. See, the sun always shines in Cornwall, honest. That's what it says in tourist brochures anyway. It's a bit moist, as I say, down here. Anyway, have a wonderful day, y'all, and I will speak to you later.